Okay, I'm going to talk about how to detect things, bodies moving in TouchDesigner because my students are asking about it. So here's what I wrote on the board, just kind of like ways that you might be able to tell if someone is moving in a certain place. Maybe that's a good explanation. We have Optical Flow, which is what I'm going to show in a minute. It uses your regular web camera and can detect movement because it's basically looking at the previous frame and the current frame and seeing what's changed in between them. So it doesn't require any special hardware. Connect is another thing. Microsoft Connect from the Xbox. You have to be able to connect it to your computer, so you have to have a USB adapter probably. You have to download some probably old software in the form of an SDK from Microsoft. The main issue is that even if you have a USB adapter, it needs a special kind of USB port. And I don't mean like USB 3, I mean it has to be a certain chipset, which if you have a laptop, it's unlikely that you have the right chipset. And even if you have a regular desktop computer, you might have to buy a specific USB card just for the Connect. It's not really something that's realistic for my students. OpenCV, computer vision. So this is basically using this tried and true kind of computer vision software based on, they're always based on in some way, it seems, OpenCV, which is this open source software that can do things like blob detection. So it can, in a frame of video, it can tell where, or in a stream of video, it can tell where the people are because they're kind of the moving objects, and it can give you the rectangles that outline them and so on. So that's maybe an option. Depth anything, I don't even know what this is really, but I do know what the idea is. You can kind of from just a single image, even not even a video, but like a regular webcam, you can get depth information as if it were something like a Connect, which is kind of amazing. It uses AI to do it. You can technically do it in real time with a live video stream, and there is a TouchDesigner plugin. I think you have to pay for it, but there's also just the ability to kind of go to this Depth Anything website and feed it an image and have it give you back kind of a colorized image that tells you the depth of all the things in the picture, which is a little crazy. I don't know what you do with it after that point. I haven't looked into it yet, but I think for this particular thing, it's not particularly useful. These things are on the bottom, have a bracket around it, I think because the idea was they were more hardware solutions, or maybe unorthodox. I don't know why exactly I did that. Maybe they all require an Arduino. So an ultrasonic sensor, this is kind of like echolocation for a bat, right? Like you can attach this cheap sensor to an Arduino and detect how far away something is. So one of my students wants to detect if someone is moving closer to another person. So maybe they're wearing the sensor, or you want to know how far away a person is from the wall. You can put the sensor on the wall, and then have the Arduino talk to TouchDesigner. I made a separate video on that. And then stepping on something. So it seems silly, but maybe there's just like a yoga mat with a switch underneath it, even a DIY switch, which I've had students make with just like sponges and aluminum foil. So when you step on the yoga mat, it closes a switch connection, and then it knows someone's standing there. It can be a lot more complicated than that, but that's the simple version. And then maybe a light sensor, and if you have the light in such a way that someone standing in a certain place creates a shadow, maybe that tells you there's someone there. And then a PIR sensor, which is when you step into a room and the lights go on, that's a PIR sensor. It's basically just an infrared sensor that tells you if someone's in the room, if they're moving. It doesn't tell you who or how many people or anything like that. So it's really just kind of an on-off thing. So all these things are totally options, but what is this? Oh, that's the circus. Oh, okay. So the thing I'm going to show you now is how to use optical flow. So there is an optical flow top if you just go to optical flow here, but this is only going to show up if you have an NVIDIA card in your computer, which I do, so it's showing up. But for most people, especially if you have a laptop, it's probably maybe just not possible for you to even find that in there. It also is just kind of like, well, I haven't really looked into it because a lot of my students can't access it, but the idea is that it's giving you back the R, G, B, and A values. It needs an input, so let me just try giving it a video device in. Let me uncover my camera. There it is. And if I connect this in, well, it says it needs, no, that's it. Okay, so if I move to the right or left, it changes these values. So red, if I move, let me try something else. Like if I move toward one direction or the other, it changes a value in the red channel. If I move up and down, it changes a value in the green channel. Blue doesn't do anything, and alpha doesn't do anything. So this would work, and maybe does the same things as what I'm about to show. But if you don't have an NVIDIA card, then you can use a under tools, I think there's an optical flow component here. And this is, according to the documentation, is a little more crude than the other one. It doesn't use machine learning to help. It's just mathematical, and it can still do the things that we want though. So what I'm going to show is just how to make this work. So the first thing is I will add a video device in back and just connect it up here. So if I, in theory, let's see if we can see it at all. If we zoom in here, when I move in one direction or the other, you can see there's kind of like a ghost of me as in red, green, blue. Some of it's showing up yellow because it's actually moving in both directions, and not blue. This is just red and green, right? There's no blue here. So let's look inside here. If I double click, it shows that by default, there's this moving around circle. I don't know if you saw that in the beginning, but there's just kind of a random circle. But since I fed it an input, it kind of takes over and forgets about that moving circle. So it is going to output, well, what does it output? It's just an image. So what I can do though is get the RG, the R and G. Let's just say the R for now, the R channel. So let me just do a top to chop so I can get the channels out. And what happens is it's got an error and it says it can't find out one. And so I think because this is the out one is actually inside of this component, I might have to just type in the name, the relative path to it. So it's optical flow / out one, and that works. So now I've got an R there showing up. You can see as I move, I get some activity on the R channel. Some on the G as well because I'm going up and down, but we're going to ignore the G for now. So the way I can just kind of select that for now is to use, well, I'm gonna put a math in here because I know that I need to do some math on this, but let me also just add a select. Select. How did I get in the mode where everything's small? I don't know, but I'm going to just look for channels that are R. So now we can see that it's doing something as I move my hand around. Just to help you, I will turn this on in the background. So you can see when I move my hand, I get some activity on the R channel. Okay, I'm leaving the green out of it for now. That would be up and down. This is just left and right. So I can take that channel and do an analyze. And if I do a sum on this, I can get something, just that one channel. I can see that there's activity going in the positive or the negative direction, depending on how I move left and right. So that is a little jittery. So I could probably make that go to a filter chop. The filter. And I don't know, maybe the defaults are okay. Let's see. Seems okay. Okay, I mean, I could fool around with that to get what I want, but also I think I haven't done that. I had the math over here. I didn't actually do anything to boost this, but this is very small amount of change, so I could probably amplify that. We'll see. So the next thing would be to take that and maybe I just take that and make it, let me just add a circle that's kind of like thing that I often do. I'm just going to move the circle around. So let me change the resolution to like 720p, and I will change the radius so that it's smaller. And let me just actually just move this, make a chop reference here to the X position and see what that does. So too much, but you can see it does do the thing. One thing it's, so let's reduce. I have the math in there already. Let me just reduce that down to like, multiply it times like 0.2. Let's see if that's better. Okay, so What you notice though is it does respond when I move, but when I stop moving, it doesn't hold it there. It goes back to 0 because there isn't any movement anymore. So another chop that we can use is speed. Let's add a speed chop onto the end of this. And if I use that as the chop reference instead for the X position of the circle, we'll see that it actually holds the position when I move. Okay. And now I think there's some fooling around to do here, like to get it to work right. But you can see now I've gotten in a position where it doesn't actually move the other direction. Let's see if that's just a matter of, could be just a matter of on this, just resetting it. So we're in the middle now. And like if I move this way, it works. If I move this way, it works. But it really never gets back below 0, unless maybe, yeah. So I'd have to like kind of start from the middle and move it over. So it's a little tricky. I mean, it does work. And I think there are a lot of things we can do with just this. But knowing that we have a way to accumulate the change is the first thing. And it's not really like at the point where we're having it follow things, but it does do something, right, when we move, which is handy. It's gone totally off the screen. So again, I'd have to have some way to reset this, I think, so that I can make sure that it's going to stay in the right range. Or I could maybe use a clamp, not clamp, what is it? Limit. A limit chop maybe would keep it within the right range. And in fact, I think I can do like, I can add the limit and maybe do like a loop. The minimum is like negative 0.5 and then 0.5 over here. This is probably not what I want, but let's see what that does. So I'll drag that over here. Let's see, if I do this and I go too far, it kind of loops to the other side, which is not particularly helpful, but it could be. I could also say I don't want it to loop, but I want to just clamp it in that range. So that will make sure that it at least doesn't go off the screen. So yeah, stuck there. And then I'd have to find a way to make it move back over. So kind of like swimming it over. That does work. And of course, we could just copy and paste all this for the G channel, and that would give us the up and down movement. So this is something. I think there are videos that show like a way more intricate version of this, and I think like actually being able to grab something that's virtually on screen and move it around, have it literally follow your hand. But this is kind of extraordinary just for regular webcam and not doing any real computer vision. It's just detecting like the difference between the frames. So hopefully that is enough to do what some of my students are looking for, or maybe for what you're trying to do. All right, take care.